back on Sports Talk Sunday in our own version of the Redskins War Room with Lou Holder, Mike Jones. Now, in years past, the Redskins have always been big players in free agency. We saw that Mike Shanahan at the end of the season said, we're going to be active in free agency. Their cap situation right now, considering where they've been in years past, is not that bad going into next season.
Yeah, they did a really good job. That was one thing that Mike Shanahan and Bruce Allen did, was a good job of clearing off, taking advantage of the uncapped year to be able to clear off space, so that way next year when they come in, whenever this free agency thing the CBA has agreed to and they know what they can go after, they have money that they can spend to be able to bring pieces in.
Yeah, I agree. That's one of the one things that Mike Shanahan did do, is that cleared the plate so they can go after some big-time free agents.
Well, guys, we got someone on the line right now who knows a lot more about free agency than I do. One of the experts in terms of capology, a guy who's worked with the Redskins in the past, and a friend to this program, J.I. Halsell. J.I., thanks for joining us, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you joining us. Hey, look, first of all, we know that the CBA hasn't been agreed upon yet, and that's going to obviously impact what every team in the NFL does, but right now, from what you see about the Redskins and their cap obligations for next season, where do you think they are right now?
I think they've done a great job of positioning themselves going forward, assuming the salary cap comes back, you know, in the years going forward as part of a new CBA. They're in a great situation where they, as you guys have mentioned, leveraged the 2010 uncapped year to get rid of a lot of bad contracts that would hinder them going forward. So they're in a good situation now. Just because you have a significant amount of salary cap space, you know, using that space to acquire quality players and structuring contracts in a way that is prudent is a whole other story. But I think that the new regime definitely understands the contract structuring aspect of managing a salary cap going forward.
All right, the two guys that everybody wants to know about, J.I., are Albert Haynesworth and Donovan McNabb. Assuming that neither one of those guys is back next season, what's the cap implications for releasing each of those guys?
Well, when you look at releasing an Albert Haynesworth or Donovan McNabb, you're looking at in excess of $3 million for each one of those players. So we'll call it $6.5 million total of cap savings between those two players not being here in 2011.
Let's, J.I., stick around for a second. I just want to make sure, Mike, there's no chance Albert Haynesworth's here next year.
No, I don't see it at all.
no shot at
no,
that, right?
You know, Bruce Allen said the door's still open, but that's just for leverage. You know, maybe they can get a fifth-round pick for this guy, but he's not coming back.
No chance Donovan McNabb's back here next year, is there, Lou?
No. I mean, just the way it ended and the fact that a person of that stature gets asked to sit the last 3 games. Well, not asked, told to sit the last 3 games. I think they might paint other pictures, but you can't think that he's coming back.
Jay, back to you. The Redskins with the 10th pick in the draft. Obviously, a signing bonus will be involved with that. What would the total outlay be for the draft picks right now? I believe they have 5 going forward.
Right. They've got 5 picks from this year's draft. When you look at the number 10 pick where they stand currently in the first round, you know, obviously the amount of money for a number 10 overall pick relative to the amount of money they spent last year on Trent Williams is going to be significantly less. What's interesting, when you look at the number 10 pick this year, well, relative to last year, the Jacksonville Jaguars had to make a decision. They could have gone after a Tim Tebow, just like how the Redskins this year at number 10 are possibly going to go after a quarterback. And you look at what Jacksonville did last year, they passed on the hometown quarterback and instead took a defensive tackle who actually had a really good year in Tyson Alualu. It'd be interesting to see if the Redskins, if they stay at number 10, if they pass on the quarterback position, obviously a needed position for them, and instead go for maybe an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman. I think there's an interesting comparison between Jacksonville's situation last year and where Washington is this year.
Jay, stay on the phone for just a second. We're going to get back to you. We're going to talk about the draft. This team has a lot of holes to fill. We don't know if they're going to be able to do that, but we'll stick around. More of our Redskins Roundtable right around the corner here on TBD. Cowboys and Redskins tied for last in the NFC East, but due to a tiebreaker, the Cowboys pick 9th and Washington picks 10th in April's NFL Draft. I'm sure you've heard of these names: Phil Taylor, Cameron Jordan, Christian Ponder. Any one of these guys, or Cam Newton, could be a future Redskin. Washington has the 10th pick in April's draft. Now, they've made some mistakes in years past, but the ones that have worked out pretty well, like Trent Williams last year with the 4th pick. That seemed to work out well. The Redskins did well and have a young left tackle of the future. Brian Rapko a couple of years ago did very well. Back with Lou Holder, back with Mike Jones, and back with J.A. Halsell on the phone. Let's start with the draft right now. We obviously heard Mel Kiper and Todd McShay of ESPN both having the Redskins taking Cam Newton from Auburn, the Heisman Trophy guy with the 10th pick in the draft. What do you think about that potential?
Because we talked about it before, they have so many other needs besides quarterback. To bring in Cam Newton, where it's going to take a couple of years to develop, everybody's saying that he's a project. You can't bring him in right away and expect that he's going to be able to do a better job than a Donovan McNabb or a Rex Grossman or even John Beck that's on the roster. I think that they need to go, an offensive or defensive line. Mike and I were talking about, a tackle out of Texas.
That was defensive end, Von Miller. He's going to be, they say he can play defensive end linebacker. He would be a really good fit. They expect him to be anywhere from 9 to 11. The Redskins could maybe get him at 10 there. He could go on the other side of Brian Arakpo. Really fast. He did a great job at the Senior Bowl. Showed that he was almost unstoppable out there.
What do you think about those guys even trading down? I mean, for the simple fact that, hey, look, they might not get anybody sexy at 10, trading down and getting more picks. I mean, it's not something that's thought of. But maybe
Philly does it all the time.
Maybe
New England does it all the time.
Not thought of here.
Yeah, Philly does it all the time. New England does it all the time.
Yeah, there are talented guys that could get. Akeem Ayers, the UCLA. There's another guy, defensive end, Cameron Jordan from Cal. That's another guy they could trade down and maybe get in the 20 range. And they're guys that they can plug into there. And then in the second round, I would love to see if they could get Phil Taylor right there. That's somebody that they need, a big, dominant nose tackle right there to plug the middle of the line.
Jay, what would the implications be if the Redskins did trade down out of 10? Since, later in the first round or maybe even second round, would they save any money? Because they would wind up with more picks, obviously, if they did that.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. They just say, you're talking about at the number 10 pick. Last year, I believe the guarantee was in excess of $10 million there. So if you slide down, you're going to save yourself. You're going to go into the single digits in terms of millions of dollars. So you're going to save yourself quite a bit of money, even if you do pick up additional later round picks.
So that is something, if you were looking at that from a financial standpoint, that would make some sense, even though from a football standpoint, you might be getting a slightly less talented player.
Or you could take the perspective of you're getting a first-round caliber player at a lower dollar value, and so therefore you're getting a better value in terms of the player that you acquire in the first round.
J.I., hey, thank you for joining us, man. We really appreciate you stopping by and lending your knowledge to it. We feel a lot smarter after we've talked to you.